My mother was a wonderful example and role model for traveling and having adventures after 50. But she was in her late 50s when the brother had left home, and we saw our mother absolutely blossom, and she started to do all these amazing trips around the world. It was like every year she would do 2 or 3 trips with her friends. And as I was in my 20s watching her, I was so fascinated by this, because up until this point, my mother's focus has always been about us, and we never had to struggle financially because she would always find the money for anything that we wanted to do. But I knew that she didn't have very much. So it was so wonderful that once we'd all left and we were all financially independent, that she could now use all of that money to herself. And she started to have these amazing adventures. And I always looked to her as that role model for how to live a really full, curious, adventurous life as we age. So for me, I've always loved traveling, but again, time and money wasn't that great. And a few years ago, my best friend and I made the decision that at this stage of our lives that we're going to start to really put travel in the middle, the center, and really prioritize it in our lives. So in 2023, we did our first trip together. We went to Paris, and even though we'd been to Paris before, going to Paris at this age was very, very different. It was a different sort of curiosity that I brought to the experience. In the past, it was about getting drunk and going out. Whereas in our 50s, this time round, it was really absorbing the culture and really taking in the experience in a very, very different way. And there was a different presence as well. So I really noticed that difference in the way that we experienced Paris in our 20s to in our 50s. And then last year we did a massive trip back to my hometown country, to Nigeria. So she and I had this wonderful, rich experience. Again, if I'd done this in my 20s or 30s, it would have been a very, very different experience. And then this year, she and I went off to Bali together, and I've been to Bali many, many times. But again, doing this experience with her, kind of filling our bucket list, so to speak, was so enriching and really, really deepened our friendship and our bond. And it made me think about what are the advantages of traveling in midlife. And some of them are quite surprising, but wait and see. So some of them include improve our cognition. So when we travel later on in life, it really helps to stimulate our brain. It stimulates curiosity, and it helps with reducing age-related mental decline. That is amazing. Another thing I love about traveling in midlife is the new experiences, experiencing new cultures and new outlooks in life. So many people have different ways of seeing life, and when we're in our bubble or in our same culture, we can kind of feel like this is the only way to see things. But when we go to other cultures, and it really expands those experiences for us, and we see that there are so many different ways of looking at life. Another reason why I love traveling as well after midlife is the meaningful connection and the social engagement that it brings. Again, I was fortunate to travel with my friend, but when I've traveled alone, it forces me to really meet other people, especially women our age as well. I love meeting other women over 50 as I travel. And then finally, for a lot of us, travel is part of our bucket list. It's part of our lifelong dream and fulfillment. So just thinking about being able to actually have the trip that you've always dreamt of, and have the trip in the way that you've always wanted. When I was younger, I always kind of stayed in more budget places because I couldn't really afford it. But now at this time of life, I can afford to travel at the standard that meets where I'm at. And I also understand that not everyone has the money to travel. So maybe you can't get overseas, but maybe what you can do is travel close by. Maybe you can just do smaller trips to a town near you, or you can do a day trip, but we can maintain that curiosity, but we can still get the benefits of that expansion and of having a different new outlook by visiting and being around all these other places. So travel and adventure, a wonderful, wonderful part of aging. And if we can take care of our health, it can be something that we can do for a long, long time to come. Enjoy. Happy travels.